Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. For those of you from outside NIE, welcome to NIE. Yeah. For those of you who are already in NIE, well, still welcome. Yeah. This is the very first in a series of new professional development for academic staff in NIE, and we call this the blended learning in collaborative classrooms. You are in one such classroom, yeah, and then later on we hope to model how you can use this classroom. I'd like to say two things before I tell you my little story over here. The first is about our staff sharing, and then the second is about the blended learning series. Now, our staff sharing sessions ended as of last week. We had 4 of them, yeah. And the traditional way of doing the staff sharing sessions is something like this, yeah. We record them, but it's typically just one side of the story. The academic staff tell what they tried in terms of an instructional intervention, a new tool that they tried to use, pedagogies, how they tried to push themselves. Yeah? They may bring in some of their student teachers to share their own stories and possibly even share the research that's generated as a result of their work. Yeah? But this, like I said, just tells half the story. You know, it appeals to what did they do, why did they do it, but then ultimately, as staff who want to try something similar, your question is how? How do you actually, use Facebook? How do I set up an account? How do I use it in class? Yeah? How might I use YouTube? How do I set up my own channel and my own account? Yeah? So what we did as of last week is do a half plus half sharing sessions. So the first half is the same. The staff tell their stories. Yeah? And the second half, we get CL folks to show you technically how to set up accounts, how to use a tool. What we also do is, with the help of the instructional designers at CEL, also try to impress upon the staff, this is how I can help you, redesign your learning activity. Yeah? Okay? And this is something that we are going to practice as of this point forward, which comes to my second point. Yeah? Blended learning in collaborative classrooms. NIE has had these type of classrooms for about a year. Yeah? Almost 70 of the classrooms on the entire ground floor have been converted to a room like this. Yeah? But based on informal as well as formal staff surveys that we have done, we realized that the rooms aren't necessarily used the way they are designed to be used. It's a case of, the assumption was if you build it, they will come. Yeah, but when they come here, you don't necessarily use it in the way that they are designed. You can kind of take a peek, through all those little doors or through the windows if they keep the blinds open. You still see someone like exactly like this now, standing in front and then yammering away. Yeah, the point is, how do we actually make use of these stations? Okay, hence the need for a new series like that to show our staff, okay, we need to change the way we do things in a classroom like that. Yeah, and we want to introduce blended learning. And the simple definition of blended learning is using online resources, online teaching materials, yeah, in a face-to-face context. How do you blend it together so that you have more effective instruction, more engaged learning? Okay? Yeah. So today, we have a slight modification of that at the request of a few staff. I was asked to share how we might create interactive lectures, how we may blend lectures. Yeah? A week from today, next Wednesday, we're going to focus more on how do you use a classroom like that, how do you use the Blackboard LMS, yeah, to engage the learners in blended learning. Okay? So, an outline of what we're going to do today, I'll share first. Hopefully it won't take too long. Feel free to ask questions, give feedback, throw insults, yeah? Then what we will do is you will be invited to go to the stations to get some hands-on to actually figure out. The idea here is simple. I will tell you the what and the why, yeah? And then you can go to the stations to learn how. Okay? Now, if you stay right up to the end, then we can kind of get together again and have a discussion, yeah, of what you've experienced. You can actually help us, give us feedback, help us improve our blended learning series, because this is the first time we're actually trying it out. Yeah? So thank you for participating. Yeah? Thank you in advance. Yeah? So, blended learning in and creating interactive lectures. Yeah? This is an outline of what I'm going to do. I'll start off with what and why I was asked to lecture. I don't normally lecture. I'll move on to, some pitfalls of lecturing. Yeah? Why it's not the best thing to do all the time. and how to overcome some of the weaknesses of typically the lecture format. And with any educational intervention, I reflected on what I tried. Yeah, some things went well, some things not so well, what I would do differently the next time. So first, what did I do? I was asked to present this topic, Creative Commons, yeah, to the entire cohort of student teachers under the PGDE program. Okay, so this was what I had to do. Reason why? It is CEL's mission. Yeah, one of their missions is to promote open learning. Yeah, and in order to create open educational resources, one of the guidelines, one of the set of standards that we can follow is actually Creative Commons. Yeah, so this is something that we try to promote as much as we can. The other thing that you also need to understand is that OTE already has the e-portfolio program. Yeah? And student teachers, all of the student teachers in the PGDE program are required to maintain portfolios in Google Sites. As a result of doing this, they generate lots and lots of artifacts. But in generating these artifacts, what they can do is hoard them. Yeah? We want them to share, and share as openly as possible. But in doing so, there might be abuse of the sharing. Yeah? When you open up yourself to any sharing, there's always good and bad. Yeah? You get a lot of feedback, yeah, but people may also abuse the openness that you have. So we tell them what the Creative Commons standards are, yeah? What the guidelines of practice are. So this is what I did and why we did it. And this is roughly the content of the lecture, the what, the whys, and the hows of Creative Commons. Yeah? By the way, these slides are based on someone who created this before. Shamini, who used to be with CL, created the original story. I've just embellished the story a little bit. Yeah. Before I tell you more about the lecture, why not lecture? I have a favorite quotation here. Yeah, the danger of lectures is that they create the illusion of teaching for teachers and the illusion of learning for learners. Okay? Simply because you're sitting there doesn't mean you're learning anything. I may talk, but you may not listen. I may try to teach, but you aren't necessarily learning anything. Okay? And lectures have several weaknesses. Yeah? They're not designed for human interaction. Right now, there's only one person speaking, and you can only go at one speed. Yeah? We don't have two-way comms. Yeah? There's no way for you. If something troubles you right now, it's very hard for you to kind of put up your hand and say, you know, I disagree, or I have some other thought. Yeah? It's very difficult to negotiate meaning. If you're struggling with something internally also, you know, you have to sort of multitask. Okay, this guy is rattling on, but I'm struggling with another thought. No, you can't do that. Yeah? You don't have your time to do that. Worst of all, it's not designed for the giving of feedback or the getting of feedback. Yeah? It's designed just to deliver as efficiently as possible. That's what lectures do. Yeah? Likewise, generally, lectures have been described as being very passive. Yeah? And when you have a large audience, something like what you see in the picture in the background, by the way, that's NTU, one of the Lee Kong Chian Auditorium. It's difficult, near impossible to keep track, to take attendance, yeah, of who is there. Okay? Let me open it up to this little audience here. Why else are lectures not so good?
Short attention span.
The audience, you mean? Not the instructor. Yeah. Although the instructor may have a short attention span. Yeah? Basic educational psychology tells us that for the average person, you can only hold their attention for about 15 minutes, which is why TED Talks are roughly that long. Yeah, 15 to 20 minutes. What else? Why else are lectures not generally a good idea? Feel free to disagree, you know? Yeah. I like to create cognitive dissonance.
Basically, nobody answers your question.
Yeah, you can. You can ask a question and then hear crickets, right? The proverbial crickets. Creak, creak, creak. Nobody answers the questions. Or it takes a while for people to warm up. Yeah, in a cold lecture theatre. What else? So that's the feedback component.
I think a lecturer focuses a lot on just delivering the content, regardless of whether the learner is able to understand or comprehend what they're trying to teach.
This is the train I'm on, is going at this speed. I need to get from point A to point B within this point of time. If you're left behind, too bad. Yeah, okay. Yes?
The learners may not be paying attention, fidgeting, making noises.
Yeah, especially when there are lots and lots of them. Right now, I can eyeball everybody, you know. Yeah, but in a larger context, you know, if there's a pocket here that's doing something, sometimes because you're so focused on just delivering, ignore them, lah. You know, and then that group can actually become a distraction because they can discuss things amongst themselves. Yeah, they can. Yeah.
As a lecturer, in terms of lesson preparation, it's more enjoyable to prepare a more interactive lesson than a 2-hour lecture. I don't know whether, students cannot last. Actually, for me as a lecturer, also cannot last. So.
Yeah, yeah. So it's taxing for both the one who's teaching and the one who's learning. Yeah, that's why I enjoy that quote. Basically, lectures give the illusion that teaching and learning is going on, but you know, frankly speaking, very little is actually going on. So, how did I attempt to deal with the problems with traditional lectures? Yeah. One thing I did was create back channels. Yeah. Now, this is an example of a back channel using Linoit. Linoit simply is an online version of sticky notes. Yeah, very much like the sticky notes that we give to you as souvenirs. Yeah, and the idea here is to get feedback as well as to generate discussion with any back channel. Yeah, there are other back channels that I use. I use 3, in fact, yeah, for the lecture series that I gave, and that included Twitter as well as Facebook. Yeah, I'll elaborate more on that later on. And something that I alerted the learners to at the beginning of the lecture series was, you know what, there's going to be a quiz at the end of the lecture, so you have to pay attention. Now, this not only was an opportunity to, you know, test their understanding of the content straight away and provide some very basic feedback by way of scores, yeah, whether you got the answer right, whether you got the answer wrong, that kind of basic feedback. The side benefit, actually, because I asked them to put in their names in this is actually in a Google form, was a means of getting the attendance. Yeah? Yeah? And actually, to give you some insight as to why I'm giving this sharing session today, it was actually because of this feature that I was asked, hey, wow, how were you able to get the attendance? Because the overall coordinator of this course suddenly started getting a lot of people with MCs. Sorry, I wasn't able to attend. You know, they were afraid that their salary would be docked. Yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention that this lecture series is a one-off thing. Yeah. This is for the entire cohort of PGDE, secondary, primary, and JC. Yeah. So there are several hundred of them, but it's an hour-long lecture series. Yeah. And they get to sign up for it. It's not compulsory. They get to sign up for it. So you attend if you want to. Yeah. And it's spread over 5 sessions, 3 days. Yeah. So I just had to repeat the thing, do it a total of 5 times. Okay? Yeah. So at the very beginning of the lecture, this is I'm actually showing you the slides that I used. Plus in orange, you know, I'm indicating it's like a layer over to tell you what I tried to do. I created these 3 back channels. So I showed you Linoit. Yeah, I used Twitter, and as well as Facebook. Okay, so I gave them the option to choose one channel, not go to all 3 and then try to give feedback in all 3. Yeah. So Twitter looks something like that. Now, this is not an example of Twitter. This is an example of this is not an example of a back channel. It's an example of what Twitter looks like. Yeah, but in this case, you notice something called @SG here, right? Yeah. So you can actually set up a very special channel just to get feedback about what's happening in your course. Yeah. And then as long as you use a hashtag and type in something else, in this case, these are educators in SG that typically meet every Tuesday night, yeah, from 8 to 9 p.m. But the rest of the time, we also post helpful resources, ask questions, and things like that. Yeah, but in back channel mode, what you can do is, you know, for your course ABC 1, 2, 3, you know, or XYZ 7, 8, 9, you can create all these back channels so that as long as you and your audience tune in to this channel, you can ask questions, provide feedback, you know, hurl insults, have a discussion there as well. Okay. The other back channel, of course, is our CL Facebook page. Yeah. In this case, what I did was I put my presentation online and asked them a general question. You know. Feel free to post your questions or comments here. Now, that's actually too vague. That wasn't a good thing. Later on, what I did was I actually asked them a specific question, and these are their answers. Yeah? Some of them just gave their text answers. This person said he would answer in the form of a video and embedded the video there in his reply. Okay? Now, there are some pros and cons. Facebook is a bit more permanent. Whatever is recorded in Facebook stays on the wall. So it can be a year down the road that you need to come back and look at this archive. You can just scroll all the way down and find it. Twitter, on the other hand, is like rain that drops on the ground. It stays there on the ground for a while, then you evaporate. Yeah? At most, you have about 7 to 10 days worth of an archive. You need to use some other tool. Yeah? It can be a Google Doc, Google spreadsheet. You can use tools like Storyfy, yeah, to archive the tweets if you need to do these sort of things. You can, of course, do screen captures and copy and paste a whole bunch of text if you want to. Yeah? But it tends to be less permanent. But what both these two tools share is that you can identify, typically you can identify the users. You can associate the comment, the timestamp, with a name. Yeah? So if you need to chase after somebody, you can. Yeah? So I gave the learners the option to use this or this. Not many pre-service teachers are on Twitter. The vast majority are on Facebook. Yeah? To provide another platform, now in this case, this one is anonymous. It can be anonymous if they don't have a Lino8 account. Basically, put sticky notes there. Yeah, in this case, I had a theme for yellow. If you have questions, use a yellow note. They would put the question here. I will answer in red. Yeah? And likewise, pink had a certain theme, blue had a certain theme. But because folks can paste sticky notes anywhere, I mean, right now we simulated the exercise by, take that CL notepad that I gave you, write something there and paste it. You can paste it anywhere on the whiteboard. It happens online too. So they were scattered all over the place. Sometimes people don't follow the color convention and things like that. But this was actually very popular. There was just so many notes over there. I had to actually take away the redundant ones, the ones with the same answers or similar themes, and actually chuck them all out. Yeah? But I have left an online record of what happened. So there was some intentional learning, and towards the end, if you're interested, you can ask me an unintentional learning event, a teaching moment that arose at my very, very, very last class. Yeah? That was something that I both enjoyed and didn't enjoy. Yeah? But it was a teaching moment and a learning moment. So that's Lino8. Any questions so far for the 3 back channels? Yeah? Again, this is just what I did. Yeah? And I'm telling you why I did it. Basically, I want feedback. I want them to ask questions, to post comments. Later on, when you go to the station that you need to come to is Station A if you want to learn about Lino8, Twitter, and Facebook. Okay, this is Station A. And Karen, yeah?
How do you actually respond to your questions? Like if they post a tweet and they expect an immediate response.
Right, yeah.
Because you're in the midst of delivering a lesson, right? So how do you then?
It's very difficult to multitask, right? Yeah, you are actually in delivery mode. You're not so much in response mode.
That's right.
Yeah. In this case, I had one assistant. Yeah, Benji. Where's Benji? Benji was me in the room. Yeah, and I asked her to monitor the tweet stream. Yeah, as well as the Facebook stream. Yeah. Of course, there were the occasional misbehaviors, especially with this particular platform. I'll share at the end if you want to find out more. Okay, but it helps to have someone monitoring. The other thing that I did mention at the very beginning was to set expectations. I may not be able to respond to you immediately, but I'll get to it. So please come back to the channel. The benefit of doing that is that you re-engage them outside of class time. Yeah? Because you only have so much time in class. If you want to talk about lifelong learning and learning outside the classroom and things like that, a back channel is one way to do it. Yeah? But ideally, I agree with you. You respond straight away when there's a question. If somebody asks a question and then 5 people start retweeting it, you jolly well see that this is a concern among some people and stop what you're doing and answer that question. That's what a back channel is actually meant to do.
So would you ideally then have a situation whereby there is a co-facilitator with you?
Yes.
Who will then attend to the online?
Yes, agreed. In a case like that, if you want to push the boundaries of what you do, typically you need someone else. And that someone else doesn't actually have to be in the room. They can, because it's online, they can be elsewhere. Yeah. But it helps if that someone is in the room. Now, all 3 tools are available on mobile devices. Yeah, with Lino8, you can actually download an app to actually put the sticky notes up there. So this is the other reason I use. About anywhere between half to a third of the audience members were on their mobile devices. Everything was mobile friendly. Yeah? That helped because when you have a few hundred people, this is something I didn't really put on the slides, but you have to be worried about how many people are accessing the wireless network at any one time. It will start to slow down or kick people out. And some of the groups were 200 plus in size. Yeah? It helped that people were whipping out their mobile phones and using their 3G plans instead of the NIE wireless network. Yeah? So back channeling was one strategy I used. One other way to create a more interactive lecture is to basically not lecture so much, tell more stories. Yeah? Yeah? So basically, it was a case of telling them a story. I embellished a little bit in between slides, but I'll just flash the slides for you to see what kind of story I told. Okay? And again, this is based on Shamini's original one. Okay? You know this chap? He's a lot older now. So you create your assignment using someone else's photo in your video, and then you get a lot of very positive feedback, yeah, on this imaginary Facebook and imaginary YouTube. But then you receive very ominous sounding email, yeah, bad news. The owner of the photograph contacts you and says, take it down. As a result of taking down the photo, you have to take down the video also because it's embedded in video. You take down the video, you cannot submit your assignment, yeah? So I asked them, what do you do? Now, in the first 2 classes, I actually asked them, what do you do? And you get that typical silence in the group. There are so many of them, and there's just one of you, but somehow nobody wants to say anything. Yeah? In subsequent ones, I said, reply in the back channel, then boom, wow, people all go and start putting sticky notes and going to Facebook and putting all the answers in there. But you always have a few brave souls. In any lecture, you always have a few who put up their hand, and then we had discussion there. So we had discussion both face-to-face as well as online. Okay? Yeah? So this is where I use the back channel. And then I appealed to them that there's a better way, and then I told them more about Creative Commons. Rather than talk so much, yeah, what I did was I used other people's stories to tell the overall story. Yeah, so I used videos. What I tried to do is also try to bring in current examples. Yeah, Psy's Gangnam Style was popular then; it's still quite popular now. Yeah, so that's something that appealed. They actually wanted me to please show the video. No, yeah. And in trying to appeal to the why adopt Creative Commons? No, tell a personal story. So I told them what I used to experience and do as a teacher, because they are teachers to be. Again, show more videos. And then when it came to the how do you actually use Creative Commons resources, I modeled the behaviors. Yeah, so I showed them how I find images for my own blog, yeah, using this particular tool. And I also told them how to share resources, because the first part here is how do you take resources online, and the second part was how do you share resources. Yeah? So I told them that whenever I do presentations, I have this little bit under here that tells people what the Creative Commons license is. But how do you generate something like that? It looks like legalese gobbledygook, right? Yeah? So I showed them this other tool, yeah, how it can walk through, and then actually you basically copy and paste the code based on what you put in there. Yeah? So basically model the process of how to use Creative Commons yourself. Now, whether that results in a more engaging lecture or not by storytelling, you had to be in the audience to make that call. Yeah? I'm just speeding through that. What happened at the end was just prior to the quiz, I said, okay, you have any more questions or feedback, feel free to ask now or put it in the back channel. So this was shown at the beginning and at the end. Yeah? And then came the quiz. So all of them were all primed already. They had all their laptops, their mobile devices out. So I said, go to this URL, shorten URL. It helps to have a short one, because if you give them a long gobbledygook one, they cannot type it in. Yeah? And then, so what that quiz looked like is like this. Okay? Very simple. Just put in your name, and then there were 5 questions. Yeah? If you so choose, you can ask for the matriculation number or any other way of identifying them. Yeah, should you want to do that. Now, in my case, I use Google Forms as well as Flubberoo. Yeah? And what this Google Forms will do is it will generate a spreadsheet. Yeah? I'll show that to you here. Yeah? And it will collect all the names. I've kind of hidden the names here of the participants when they actually did it. Yeah? You'll get the average points, the total number of people who are there. Over the 5 sessions, there were 763 attempts at the quiz. Whether there were 763 people, I do not know, but there were 763 attempts at the quiz. Yeah? And it tells you who got what right and wrong. Yeah? Now, the incentive that I gave them at the beginning of the lectures is, I want to see who can get all the answers right and who can get it done right the fastest. Then the top 5, yeah, I'll give you a souvenir, a present, a reward from CEL. Yeah? So that was one incentive to actually put the actual names, because they can put Mickey Mouse and things like that. So I told them, if you put Mickey Mouse there, then the prize goes to Mickey Mouse. You have to prove to me that that's who you are. We can do that in our context because we have little souvenirs. If not, then you can basically appeal to their honesty and integrity to put their own names down. If you want to use an open tool like Google Forms, then you can actually visit Station C in the case of Blackboard, because you can do a similar thing in Blackboard. You can use the quiz and survey functions, and because the users have to log into that system, that's the way you track who has done what. Okay? Yeah. So let me give you an idea of what the resulting spreadsheet looks like. Yeah. So the overall student submissions, user submissions are collected here. Yeah, and it looks something like that. And what I did was I collected, day by day. Over the first day, this is what I got. Second day, this is what I got, and so on. Okay? Yeah. So again, this tool is basically Google Forms, which already has this functionality. What Flubaroo does is it actually helps you grade the quiz automatically, yeah, and then generate the results, yeah, and you can arrange everything. I can actually arrange all those that got 5 out of 5 correct. Then I just call out the top 5 names. Okay, yeah, that I use the technology to do something that humanly would actually take a very long time. Okay, and Flubaroo can actually grade the quizzes quite quickly. Yeah. Any questions before I tell you what I would try to do a bit differently? Any questions so far? Doubts? So up to this point, I only have 3 main things to kind of share. First of all, one way I think to create more interactive lectures is to not lecture, to tell as many engaging stories as possible with as much rich media as possible. Second of all, provide opportunities for getting feedback through, let's say, a back channel. Yeah? And third, yeah, test for understanding at the lecture itself, yeah, by using something like a quiz, yeah, an online quiz. Yeah?
Actually, I have a question. How do you manage the tech savviness of the learners in such a big scale? Giving them these back channels and...
Yeah, you're bound to have a range, right? There'll be those who yeah, I'm totally comfortable with this, to those that are like, I never done this before. I had one person who said, I don't have a phone, and I said, you come out, you go and use this computer. Then she used the computer in front, but just one person out of the entire lot, there's only one person that needed to do that. Or I forgot to bring this, then just borrow. Many people have more than one device. You use my phone, I use my laptop. That kind of thing. Or I'm done already, now your turn to do, then you do. So that's one thing. Plus the fact that you could always see people heads together.
So did you provide any guides or anything?
No training.
There was an expectation on them that such things is going to happen during the lecture or after the lecture.
Yeah. Okay. So I made that clear at the forefront, but there's always this risk that some people don't know how. But if you want to use a tool, then use an easy one. Sticky notes is relatively intuitive. Facebook, they use it socially. They just haven't used it in a lecture context. And again, I provided 3 alternatives. You go to the one that you're most comfortable with or most willing to take a risk with. And, so that lowered the tech barrier and the fear a little bit. Google Forms are so easy. They are viewable on an iPad, iPhone, Android device, laptop. Yeah. So just as long as you can key in the bit.ly URL, get to it, as long as the wireless doesn't, conk out on you. Yeah, actually that is the bigger worry, that the bandwidth isn't sufficient for everybody to access this. Yeah, for the larger classes, there were a few who were actually getting a bit of a problem. So I said, rely on your 3G. Yeah, and then that actually solved the problem. Yeah. Any other questions? Before I bore you more to tears, really this is the last bit already. I hate doing lecturing because of all the reasons mentioned earlier on. I prefer to create more experiential kind of thing, of opportunities. So what would I do differently? Okay, so I don't think I use the back channels as much as I could have. Yeah, typically when I do other talks, keynotes, presentations, what I like to do is have the presentation on one side of the screen and then the back channel really on, live on the side, so people can actually see what other people are thinking and saying. Yeah, so that's a real back channel. It's going on all the time. In this case, you are very focused. When I ask you a question, use the back channel. So it is more like it is rather focused use, which is in a way good, but it's not a true back channel. Yeah. Plus, in this case, I had to rely on one person to monitor the back channel, but because there were three, that's actually quite a lot of work. Yeah? So if your audience gets used to the way of you doing things, you can actually just stick to one back channel, you know? And then either set the expectation that you put your stuff there, I'll review later, you also come back and review later, yeah? Or you have someone to assist you to monitor live and to respond in real time, yeah? But you must set up the expectation. Either there's a delayed response or there's an immediate one. Yeah? If not, they will assume it's immediate, and then you don't respond, then they won't back channel anymore. They won't like it. Okay? Yeah? The other thing is that Flubaroo, while it is quick, yeah, it is quick with, let's say, about 50 or fewer viewers. Because what it does is collects all the information in the quizzes and starts to grade it in real time, you know, at the moment you click on a button. Yeah, grade the quiz now, boom. But it takes a fair bit of time. So with about 50 or fewer users, within 30 seconds or less, boom, you get the results. Yeah? But then when the population went up to 100 plus and then 200 plus, depending on who signed up for which slot, that's where the thing really slowed down a little bit. So I had to wait there, and go, I'll buy time, and then walk through the answers. And are the results ready? Oh, not yet. Okay, then we talk about something else and come back to it. So my strategy for this is actually do the quiz earlier. Don't do it right at the end. There was no real need for me to do it right at the end. I could have done it like at the three-quarter mark. Let Flubaroo process all the answers and all that. Yeah, you know, talk about more things, show more videos, and then, now the results are ready. So let's see who the top 5 are, and then call out their names, and they clap hands, and we give out the prizes. Yeah? And those are my 2 sort of major reflections. I have that other third one if you're interested in finding out what that is too.
Expect the unexpected.
Sorry? Yeah. Sorry?
Expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected, yeah. Which is actually my other third takeaway. But you have a question?
For the survey used and the online quiz on Blackboard, so does it also process fairly, immediately?
Yeah. I would think even quicker than you would use in the case of Flubaroo. Yeah.
What if I use SurveyMonkey?
If you use SurveyMonkey, then it will also auto-generate results and charts and graphs and things like that for you if you have the premium account. You will probably get it very fast. But if you want to, let's say, track who it is, then you must have time to put their names in there, yeah, and maybe the matriculation number. But essentially, it's the same thing. You can really use any tool. Yeah. The issue is what you want, what you're comfortable with. If you really want to stay within the system and use Blackboard, then stick with it. Yeah, and my team over there will show you how. If you want to use some outside tool, as I did, then go ahead and do that. One main reason why I also use Google Forms is because the student teachers of today, they will eventually become full-time teachers in MOE, and MOE has the Google Enterprise System. So I basically also want to model the use of Google Forms, how it's not just a way of getting, we are about to organize a retreat. Who would like to go to location A, location B, location C? I want to say you can actually use it for a quiz. And rather than have the manual work of grading it, marry it with Flubaroo and boom, it will actually generate the results for you, tell you the average score. You can actually generate graphs and charts as a result of that. So you basically let the technology do what technology does best, all the grunt work. Yeah. And then you do the higher level design the task, yeah, and hopefully create something that's more engaging and interactive. Yeah. Other questions? Do you want to find out that third learning takeaway, or do you really want to go? Or maybe you use that as a carrot. I don't know whether it's a carrot or cane. I'll share at the end if you stay right at the end of the workshop. Yeah?
Would you like to comment on the practical aspect, based on what you have shared? If it were to be a class, you can create a very dynamic, interesting, interactive kind of thing, and then you make use of back channel, and then you want to respond to them. Assuming that you're teaching these 5 classes with, let's say, 20 or 30 at a go, back channel means there are lots and lots and lots more to follow up. You're running all over, teaching all over, and this is only one module. There could be other modules here. So how do you address the practical issues of the follow-up work?
In this case, I might not even design the back channel. If I have a class of 25 to 30, that face-to-face interaction may be sufficient, you see, or I would get them to record their, let's say, their reflections. In fact, this is something that we're going to demonstrate next week.
So
on the 28th.
On
Yeah.
how many modules you're taking, how many students you
Yeah.
have, there's so many factors.
Yeah.
So
In this case, I am dealing with a large numbers of people, you know, and almost faceless. I don't know them by name. I see them only once. But I want to engage them as much as possible and say, you know what, I'm listening. This is how you tell me. This is how we can all talk at once without making a lot of noise. Yeah? By recording information in sticky notes, in Twitter and
so the
Facebook,
assumption is they all will come with their laptops and their handphones.
which they typically bring with them. Yeah. Did we make an announcement to say you must bring all this stuff, or didn't we?
We kind of made an announcement they can bring either their
Oh, yeah.
laptop
Okay.
or
So there was the
one
expectation.
device,
Yes. Yeah.
handphone will do.
Yeah. But you know, who doesn't really travel without this nowadays? They're carrying at least one computer with them. So I made sure that whatever the back channel or the quiz worked here. So they almost have no excuse, except for that one person who say, I don't have anything. Yeah. But then you always have this backup. Use this computer. Yeah. Anything else? If not, I don't want to dominate the discussion. Like I said, I hate just going blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And of course, if you get me started on something, sometimes I don't stop. I'm a runaway train. So I'll be disciplined and say, you know what? Let's go to the station that you're interested in. This is for social media back channeling. This is Google Forms and Flubaroo at the back there to do the equivalent of quizzes and surveys using Blackboard. Yeah. We will not take a break in between. If you feel that you need to take a break, a loo break, you know, just to get some fresh air, you know, feel free to step out during this time. What time shall we come back?
Come back
Give-
at about,
Give it 45 minutes. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So we can do this experiential component for about 45 minutes. Then if you have any questions or queries, feel free to ask them. And I'll be here to share the third part of the story if you're interested.